Welcome. Woo, what a day. Lisa Hallee was in charge of the weather. Good afternoon and welcome to the RiverWalk at Hedda Falls. My name is Mike Roy and I currently serve as the city manager in Waterville. I'm a Waterville native and I remember what Hedda Falls looked like at a different time in our city's history. My father, Joseph Roy, worked at the Wyandotte Willow Mill, which was located a short distance from where we stand today. I remember dropping him off at work one day for his 3 to 11 shift. I remember it well because that was the first time I got to keep the family car. In 1968, that was a big deal. Soon after that time, the mill was gone along with all the other structures in this area. Urban renewal was changing the look and the feel of our riverfront and our Main Street area. While Main Street went on to play a major role in shaping the city's economic growth, the Hedda Falls riverfront became a forgotten place, unfortunately. For many years, the main purpose of Hedda Falls was to serve as a city's snow dump. Snow was deposited here throughout the winter, and the pile was still often visible well into June. When I came to work here 14 years ago, I just found it so sad that such a beautiful and historic part of the city was in such bad shape. I was pleased to learn, however, that the city at that time had completed a master planning process for Hedda Falls. And when I looked at the plans, I noticed that there was a proposed boardwalk along the river's edge. Even on paper, it looked like it could be a beautiful improvement for this site, although it was a much reduced version of what we see today. I began to ask about the prospects for making such an improvement, but there were so many other pressing needs in the city that my hopes were quickly dashed. I kept my hope alive that the city would do something here someday to bring people back to the river, back to the place where so many people lived, worked, and played, back to a place that played such an important part in Waterville's history, back to the river. That hope of a return to the river was shared by many, many other people. And finally, in May of 2015, an opportunity presented itself with the news that the Waterville Rotary Club would be sponsoring a project to help celebrate the club's 100th birthday, which celebration is today, as a matter of fact. With help from Peter Garrett and the Kennebec Messalonskee Trails organization, the city applied for a grant through the Rotary Club, and we were selected to receive $150,000. Thank you. Believe me, Rotary's financial support for this project so early on was a huge, huge key as to how we got here today. With the support of the mayor and the city council and our RiverWalk Advisory Committee, we set a fundraising goal of $1.5 million. We are now $16,000 away from reaching that goal. There are two very, very important reasons why we're so close to reaching our goal. One of those reasons is sitting behind me in the form of Lisa Hallee, and the other person that's been such a huge help in our fundraising, Kate O'Halloran. Where's Kate? Kate O'Halloran. Our good fortune continued when we hired Mitchell and Associates to do the design for the beautiful waterfront park you see today. I know that Bob Metcalf and Sashi are here today. Bob, thank you. Sashi, where are you? She's here. Also here today are representatives from our contractor, Gordon Contracting. You can have all the pretty designs you want on paper, but if you don't have someone to carry it out on the field, you won't have a successful project. We had that successful project with Gordon, and especially in the work of John Trass, their foreman on site. And I did see John here today, so John, wherever you are, thank you. I would be remiss if not mentioning some very key city people that played a part in where we are today. Mark Turner and his Public Works crew, Matt Skane, especially with the help of Steve and Rob. Matt, where are you? Thank you, Matt Skane, for what you've done. I almost forgot, our city engineer, Nick Champagne, was overseeing this entire project from start to finish. Nick is here somewhere. Thank you. And finally, there's one special person I want to mention who deserves a lot of recognition, and I know that Sarah Bone is here because she's helped me right until the very end. Sarah, where are you? She is our executive assistant and was involved in every aspect of the project and so important in keeping us organized. We believe that the Riverwalk heralds Waterville's return to the river. It provides the public with a fantastic opportunity to view the Kennebec in all its power and beauty. We believe that this project can honor the men and women who lived and worked here. I've been so encouraged by people coming up to me and saying, I used to work here, or my parents worked here, or I lived here. We believe that this riverfront improvement can and will spur some economic growth and complement all that is happening in our downtown. Believe me when I say that Waterville is experiencing a renaissance, and the proof is there for all of us to see. We have a renovated and expanded library and opera house, the largest Boys and Girls Club in the nation, one of the very few educare centers on the East Coast. We have a world-class recreation area at Quarry Road, and $65 million in new investments from Colby and the Alphon Foundation in our downtown area. And furthermore, in 2017, Waterville had the highest year-over-year home sales in the state of Maine. Our 30% growth in home sales was more than double the next community. People are not moving out of Waterville, they're moving in. Waterville is on the move, and Waterville's return to the river is a huge part of that. Before I close, I have to mention one person in particular. Like me, Lisa Hallee is a Waterville native with a very personal connection to the head of falls. Getting Lisa involved was the best thing that could have ever happened to this project, without any doubt. Our energy level, fundraising abilities, and PR expertise were exponentially increased when she came on board. In addition to her belief in the importance of this project, she has a love for Waterville and a deep respect for this place. Please join me in recognizing Lisa Hallee.
Hi everyone. Welcome to RiverWalk at Head of Falls. I've been waiting a long time to say that. This is my very favorite time of year in Maine, and I can't imagine a more glorious day for us to pause and celebrate this special moment in Waterville's history. The history of Head of Falls is filled with stories. It is in this place that the story of Waterville began. This is the place where many of our family stories began as well, including my own. My grandfather, my Pepe, Oscar Hallee, came to Waterville from Quebec in 1900. He was 18 years old. He came in search of a brighter future. He came looking for a job in one of the many mills along the Kennebec, and he found a job here at Head of Falls at the Wyandotte Mill. He married my meme, Athénaïse Loubier, in 1904. They were married for 68 years when my meme died. My Pepe lived to be 102. He died in 1984 while I was away at Cornell Law School, but he lived to see me graduate from Colby College and to see many of my 43 first cousins graduate from college and graduate school and become doctors, lawyers, college professors, and other professionals. Quite a legacy for an 18-year-old man who couldn't speak a word of English when he came here. My family's story is not unique. It is the story of Head of Falls. It is the story of Waterville, and indeed, it is the story of America. Hard-working people came here to find a better life for themselves and their families. We celebrate this heritage with this park, We honor the brave men and women who came here and shaped our town. I would be remiss if I didn't mention another history we celebrate with this park. Before settlers arrived on these shores, Native Americans called this place home for centuries. We honor their history as well. Years ago, I learned of the Native American tradition of the 7 generations. This tradition, articulated by Oren Lyons of the Seneca Nation, states that when you sit in council for the welfare of the people, you must not think of yourself or of your family, not even of your generation. You must make your decisions on behalf of the 7 generations coming, so that they may enjoy what you enjoy. This park honors our Native American heritage as well by preserving a place that generations of people, all people, can and will enjoy for 7 generations and beyond. Growing up in Waterville in the 1970s, I never knew Hedda Falls as a neighborhood. It was always a place to stay away from, desolate and forgotten. It always seemed so wrong to me that what ought to have been a lovely spot on the river was so unwelcoming, and I'm thrilled beyond words to be a part of changing that forever. One of my favorite quotations reads, "Never doubt that a few thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has." The mic just went dead. Powerful words. Margaret Mead said those words, and this project proves them true. Mike Roy and Peter Garrett came up with the idea of creating the RiverWalk, but it was not until Waterville Rotary committed a magnificent $150,000 in honor of their 100th anniversary that the idea began to take shape. I'd like to welcome Waterville Rotary Club President Jennifer Olson and Rotary District Governor-elect Waterville's own Suzanne Melanson and the many Rotarians you saw volunteering here today. And I should note that Mike Roy, Peter Garrett, and I are all Rotarians. Thank you, Waterville Rotary. Like many things in life, the Rotary gift was a little good news, bad news. The good news was they were going to make an amazing gift. The bad news was there was a deadline. We needed to have the park done in time for their 100th anniversary, which, as Mike told you, is today. Power everywhere except here. Yeah. And we had to raise a lot of money, $1.5 million. And we didn't have a lot of time. It was just last January when I first shared our vision for RiverWalk with our community at the Pachakacha. What has unfolded since then has been nearly miraculous. With the Rotary gift and help from Colby College, the Waterville Development Corporation, Kennebec-Messalonskee Trails, and Inland Hospital, we were able to raise $300,000 to match a grant from the Land and Water Conservation Fund at the Maine Bureau of Parks and Lands. We were on our way with $600,000. Here today is John Dalton, CEO of Inland. John, you're somewhere in front of me. There you are. And Ash Heckmott from Kennebec-Messalonskee Trails. And I didn't see Ash. Ash, are you here? Okay, I don't see him. Hopefully he's here. Next, Kennebec Savings Bank came forward with a fabulous gift of $150,000 to name this amphitheater. And here with us today is Andrew Silsby, CEO of Kennebec Savings Bank. Thank you, Kennebec Savings Bank. The Mitchell family, led by siblings George and Barbara, came together and to name the Mitchell Family Pavilion in honor of their parents, George and Mary Mitchell. We are joined here today by Senator George Mitchell and Barbara Atkins and Yvette Mitchell and Janet Mitchell and many of their children and grandchildren, all of whom collectively came together as a family to make this wonderful gift. The Waterville City Council dedicated $300,000 from the Downtown TIF Fund to the project, and we are joined here today by Mayor Nick Isgro. Nick? He disappeared. I'm not sure where you are. I know he's here. Generous donations came from several foundations, including Elmina B. Sewell Foundation, the Davis Conservation Fund, and the Elsie and William Viles Foundation. And finally, I'd like to thank the dozens of private citizens and businesses that donated generously, You will see the names of all of the donors who gave $1,000 or more on the donor board that graces the entrance of our park. And we thank you all. As you walk around the RiverWalk, you're going to see names on signs, benches, tables, and pavers. These are the names of the people who came together to make this park happen. We couldn't have done it without you. And I want to let you all know that it's not too late to put your name on the park. We still have pavers, we have some picnic tables available, and we have a table set up here today if you want more information about making a donation. I want to take a minute to thank a few people who really helped with the fundraising project, because I really have to tell you, I'm a professional fundraiser in my professional life. I did this as a volunteer, but a lot of people really hate fundraising. I happen to love it. But, you know, it's not an easy thing when you say, come and help me do this. But Mike Roy really stepped up. He joined me in asking a lot of people for a lot of money, and it was not in his comfort zone. But he did a great job, and I appreciate it. And my faithful friend and colleague, Kate O'Halloran, who stepped up and helped us out professionally, adding her great skills to the effort. Garvin Donegan, who's here today over there somewhere, from the Central Maine Growth Council, extraordinary grant writer, just did a wonderful job helping us. And Sarah Bowen, who kept us all organized. Thank you all. I'd like to thank our wonderful partners at Waterville Creates. Shannon Haynes and Nathan Town worked closely with us from the very start to help form a plan to include public art as a key component of this project. They helped us get the word out about our capital campaign, and they helped us relocate the Tyconic statue by Roger Majorowicz from the concourse to really what is its rightful home here by the river. I'm not the only one who never knew that sculpture could move until I saw it down here and it caught a breeze from the river, and it was like, wow, it was meant to be here. More recently, Waterville Creates partnered with the RiverWalk Committee to purchase the beautiful River Stone sculpture by Jesse Salisbury, which is located about halfway down the walkway. And we hope this is the first of many pieces of public art that we will have installed at the RiverWalk in the years to come. Thank you, Waterville Creates, for helping make this place more beautiful and more inspiring. Thank you, Waterville Creates. After the ceremony, Waterville Creates will be hosting a public art project today, right down the RiverWalk at the Mitchell Pavilion. Yay! What? What? And they say I'm not powerful. Jeez. Working together as a community, we have created a park where we can gather to celebrate life's best moments and shape our collective future. This is already starting to happen, as we recently saw the first wedding take place here at RiverWalk, which was really cool. And last weekend, the kids at the homecoming dance came down here to take their photos. It's already become a part of the fabric of the community. It's a beautiful thing. I have one more request. Now that we have built our beautiful park, let us keep it beautiful. We are forming a new organization called the Friends of RiverWalk to help our city's hardworking Parks and Recreation Department keep this place as special as it is now. We're looking for volunteers to help. If you'd like to be a part of that organization, please see Mike Roy. We need caring, concerned citizens to come and join us to maintain this beautiful place. And now, it is my great honor to introduce our distinguished guest, Senator George Mitchell. Most of you know Senator Mitchell by his many titles and honors: United States Senator, Senate Majority Leader, United States District Court Judge for the District of Maine, United States Special Envoy for Northern Ireland, Special Envoy for Middle East Peace, among many others. Senator Mitchell has brought his characteristic intelligence and acumen to bear on solving some of the most complex and vexing challenges of our time. He is among the most well-respected and accomplished jurists in our country's history. That's what most people know about George Mitchell. But there's also another side to George Mitchell, the little boy who grew up at Hedda Falls. Like so many other Lebanese and French-Canadian families, the Mitchell family made their home here, and in this place a world leader was born. Let us welcome our world leader home.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa, for that overly generous introduction. Thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, for your warm reception. It's for me, a great honor and a pleasure to be back home in Waterville on this really beautiful day. I want to thank Mike and Lisa for their tremendous leadership, along with all of the other city officials who've been mentioned, to the Waterville Rotary Club, where I'll be speaking tonight in celebration of their 100th anniversary, to Andrew Silsby and the Kennebec Savings Bank. I want also to thank my sister Barbara, who has done so much to make possible the pavilion and this park, and all the members of my family who are here who also contributed. Now, this is a very sensitive time in American politics, and I noticed Mike said that they hired Mitchell and Associates to do the work here, and I want to make it very clear, we're not related. So I can safely say thank you for a great job done, even though we had nothing to do with it. On a day like this, we should begin by thanking God for us having the privilege of being Americans, citizens of a society that, despite our many serious imperfections, remains to me still the most open, the most free, the most just society in all of human history. It begins our national story begins, as does each human story, where we were born, raised, the values and principles that we were as children taught, and the values of the society in which we were educated and lived our lives. Like Lisa, my being born in Waterville was an accident of fate. My father's parents were born in Ireland. They became part of one of the great human migrations in all of history, as millions left Ireland and other parts of Europe, fleeing poverty, famine, and religious persecution, to travel to what they called the New World, where they hoped to find, above all else, freedom and opportunity. My father never knew his parents. His mother died. His father couldn't care for the children, so he was raised in an orphanage. And after several years there, he was adopted by an elderly, childless couple from Bangor in a Catholic church there. A few years later, that couple with their young adopted son moved to Waterville and took up residence in a small house just a few feet from here, almost directly next to what is now the Two-Penny Bridge. It was there that my parents lived when I was born, following my three older brothers, Paul, Johnny, and Robbie, and my sister Barbara. And it is for us a very bittersweet moment that my three older brothers have all passed away and can't be here, in particular Paul and Johnny, who died just a few weeks and months ago. Their children and grandchildren are here. They're a reminder to us of the continuity of life My mother was born in Lebanon, a Christian family that, due to the many upheavals there even then, found their way also to the New World. One of her older sisters emigrated and settled in Bangor, and then a second one emigrated and settled here at the head of Falls in the tenement right next door to where my father's parents lived. So my mother and father met here, having come from distant places in the world to what was then not nearly as beautiful as this is today. If you fell off our back porch, you fell into the Kennebec River. Nowadays, real estate next to rivers and lakes is identified as prime real estate. Back then, it was just the opposite. The Wyandotte Mill stood here. That's where my mother worked. She spent 50 years working the night shifts in textile mills. The Hollingsworth and Whitney paper mill still stands. I worked there summers while I was going to college. And my mother ended up meeting my father. They were married here, and this is where we grew up. By standards then and standards now, we were very poor. But since everybody we knew lived the same way we did, we didn't know the difference. And what my parents lacked in material resources, my father didn't own a car, they made up for with love. And here we grew up with parents who guided us in the values that led them here and that infused their lives. Faith, family, country. Like many immigrant families, there was a powerful incentive to assimilate, to become American, to learn and to live the values of freedom, opportunity, and justice for all. My brothers, my sister, and I were very fortunate because of the efforts of our parents, more importantly, because of the openness of American society. We were each able to get a college education and to live lives that were beyond the imaginations of our parents. And so when Lisa and Mike called Barbara and me about helping on this project, we of course responded because we recognize how very, very fortunate we were, how much we owe to this community, to this state, to this country, to the people here, and all across this beautiful land. To all of you who have helped with this project, from the bottom of our hearts, we say thank you. To all the people of Waterville and of this state who have made our country and our state what it is, I say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. It is for me truly an honor to be back here, the place that I always will regard as home. Head of Falls, Waterville, Maine, United States of America. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator Mitchell. That concludes our program for today, except for the ribbon cutting. which we'd like to do right over in this stretch, right over here. You're all welcome, of course, to stay as long as you want and patrol the Riverwalk, enjoy the sights and sounds of being along the river. And again, thank you all so much for coming.